All right, it looks like we're pretty well gathered back. And if there are a few of you, I don't know if you can hear me in the other room, but we'll go ahead and get started now. One theme that I think I picked up on between the two speakers that we enjoyed earlier today was that Sacred Harp is something that really happens around people, that it's not just a written tradition, as Warren spoke to, and that there are these rich histories that Buell discussed as well. So we're fortunate today. We've got a bunch of the Sacred Harp people with us, people with a lot of experience and a wide, diverse backgrounds in Sacred Harp. So let me just very quickly introduce everyone. I'm going to start by introducing our moderator, who is Jesse Perlman-Carlsberg, who is a doctoral student at Emory University who studies Sacred Harp. He's probably the most knowledgeable person about the little minutia. If you have yeah, well, we'll let them fight over it. Anyway, pleased to have Jesse here with us. To Jesse's right is Judy Cottle from Eva, Alabama. You might not know where that is, even if you're from Alabama, but it's in Morgan County, I'm told, not too far from Coleman, who's a lifelong Sacred Harp singer. Her father actually is a longtime singing school teacher in that part of the state. We've already met Buell on the end and Warren next to Jesse. We've also got Bill Hogan with us today, who's representing a little bit further south in Alabama, who's in, where are you exactly? In Wetumpka. And is our honorary representative from the Cooper book here. You may be aware we have a few different editions of the Sacred Harp, so we're very proud to have Bill with us. We've also got David Ivey, who has a long history of Sacred Harp in his family as well, is the director of Camp Fossil Law, and has recently been awarded an extremely prestigious national award, the National Heritage Fellowship. And then last but definitely not least is Bridget Hill Kennedy, who is from here or around here in the Birmingham area. So we have her representing locally. She also has a long history of Sacred Harp going back into the early 2000s. And has been a very popular, probably the most popular teacher, I think, at Camp Fossil Law. So we're very proud to have her with us as well. Let me go ahead and turn the time over to Jesse to get us started with our discussion.
Thanks. Thank you, Nathan. So it's great to have so many of you here with us, and wonderful to see this exhibit and to hear these great talks. And so what we're going to do for this hour is I'm going to ask a few questions of these esteemed singers, and we'll basically just have a discussion about Sacred Harp singing, about what Sacred Harp singing means to those of us who sing this music. Talk about some of the different ways that the people on this stage have gotten involved. Perhaps even talk about how Sacred Harp has changed, and then I want to spend a little time at the end talking about the future of Sacred Harp. But to start, I think it would be great if each of you all could just say a few words about how you became involved in Sacred Harp singing, whether that happened when you were very, very, very young or later on in life, how you got involved and what drew you in to Sacred Harp. And if you'd like to start, Bill, and then we can maybe just move down the line.
Okay, I'll be glad to start. I was later in life. I had learned to sing from my father and with family things and in church. But in 1996, there was a workshop in Mobile at our church in Christian Harmony. Laura Businger from North Carolina was there, and she gave a three-day workshop, and I attended, and I thought it was interesting, and I bought the book, and I thought it was interesting, cool music from 1856 or whatever. So, and I liked that. And Bill Green was at the singing, and he invited everyone there to come to the Baldwin County singing, which was 2 weeks away, and I went, and he gave me a book on that occasion, and I enjoyed it, and I wondered why everybody was singing so loud, though. Were they angry about something, or I hadn't seen that much emotion in a singing event before. So, but anyway, I enjoyed it very much, and attended several singings that year, and met Buell at the National on a day or two of it, and just fell in love with it from that point on.
Great, thanks, Bill.
Yes, thank you.
So Jesse, I was born into a Sacred Heart family, and some of the earliest memories I have is singing sacred harp. Really, in church is probably what I first remember, and we still sing sacred harp at Liberty Baptist Church where I grew up. So I've been singing all of my life. Sometimes folks grow up singing sacred harp and then they leave it for years and come back, but I never have. I've sung through, when I was a kid, in high school and college and so on. So.
Hi. In 2003, I was preparing to graduate with my undergraduate degree. And in the meantime, I was applying to graduate schools in the area. I was also playing drums at my church. So we were kind of raucous, the type of worship music that I was involved in. My sister-in-law, Beth Ann Hill, was invited by Max Barafy to go to a singing because he commissioned her to do a painting of a sacred harp singing. And she, knowing that I was involved in music ministry, invited me to go along with her. And I'm giving you the very, very brief version of this story. So I went along and found it fascinating, not only the music, but the people. I was instantly embraced. We were very unsure of our surroundings as we got deeper and deeper into the woods. The way, I mean, I grew up in Birmingham during the 70s, so it was shortly after the big part of the civil rights movement. And so even though my family, we were well traveled, it was okay to hop on an airplane, go to California, go to New York. But as far as how we moved about in Alabama, it was pretty restricted. So it's interesting to go deep and deeper into the woods, mm-hmm. and just to be embraced by the individuals singing this music. It was as much of a part that drew me into it as the music itself, and so.
Well, I know when I first attended a singing, but in high school I grew up, doing all kinds of music, and in high school discovered a copy of the Southern Harmony in the public library, and tried to sing those and tried to get my friends to sing them. And all through college in the Boston area, and finally I was out of college for 4 years, and finally found a group of people in the Boston area who were getting together for the specific purpose of singing Sacred Harp every 2 weeks, and that was January 1972. And in July 1972, I was in Clay County, Alabama, at a now discontinued singing. We drove a bunch of people down to. And had singing in Ann Arbor, Michigan in the 70s, and I moved to Mississippi in 1980. Still do many other kinds of music, but I've always loved the Sacred Harp the best.
Thanks, Warren.
My turn. My story's boring. I was born into this. I've been doing it all my life. My daddy was a singing school teacher. My grandpa was a singing school teacher. So I've attended numerous singing schools all over my lifetime. And it's just a part of me. I can't walk away from it. Back? No, I have never quit and come back. I've always been singing.
Well, as I mentioned in the chapter that I read earlier about Granny Cobb, she was the first one, I think, who mentioned Sacred Harp to me and sang just a little bit for me. And I think it was significant that what she sang to me stayed with me, that I still remembered those few phrases many years later. But I went to school, as I mentioned earlier, at Alabama College, now the University of Montevallo, and was fortunate there in that Mike Hinton transferred in from junior college. He, along with Richard Malden here, are grandsons of the greatest Sacred Harp teacher, Tom Denson, who was reputed to have taught 25,000 students over the decades. Was a greatly esteemed singing master. And Mike introduced me to the first 2 record albums of the Sacred Heart Publishing Company, and I was just floored by it. Well, I should mention, actually back up and mention, that I did attend a Sacred Harp singing first, and I'm just still chagrined and surprised at myself that it just made no real impression at all. If I could, just go back in time to the old Coleman courthouse that's now been dismantled. I went with my grandparents, with Granny Cobb, and I'm sure at her request. And there was this huge crowd of singers. We were up in the balcony, the mezzanine that ringed the big courtroom there, and it just didn't make an impression. It didn't grab me at all. Then when I heard those record albums,